here's quantum physics. So if S1 and S2 are spin operators of the two electrons in a helium atom, then the question is, what is the expectation value for S1 dot S2? S1 dot S2, what is the expectation value? So the answer is supposed to be in units of h bar square. So S1 is equal to half, S2 equals half, then S is equal to square root of S into S plus 1 into h bar. This we get from the angular momentum theory. So S is equal to square root of 1 by 2 into 1 by 2 plus 1 h bar, that is equal to root 3 by 4 h bar. So S1 dot S2, S1 dot S2 expectation value is minus 3 by 4 h bar square. It's just the square of this, and the minus comes from the fact that they have to be in an anti-parallel configuration. So that is the S1 dot S2.
What is it?
Anti-parallel is basically the spins are in opposite directions in helium. That gives the minimal energy of the binding.
Oh, that's why it's free.
It's a miracle that spin is half. Like a top has a lot of spin, like that electron has spin of half h bar. Thank you and have a good day. Hi, this is Harish Ravi from Extreme Adventuring. You can find me with those keywords. I'm going to give a lecture on electrical engineering. So this is an RLC circuit, L, C and R. They want us to find the impedance on resonance and find the real part of it. So resistance is something which stops the current flow. Capacitance is something which stores charge, and inductance is something which stores magnetic field. It stores electric field and that stores magnetic field. So now the imaginary part is 0 upon resonance, and the real part we can find from the equation Z is equal to j omega L plus 1 by R plus j omega C. So the imaginary part is 0. So R equivalent resistance is 1 by R divided by 1 by R the whole square plus omega C the whole square. So substituting these values of 100 microfarads, 100 ohms and 100 hertz, we get 50 ohms for the impedance. That's the answer. So this exercise hopefully helped you. So thank you and look forward to more videos. Please share it. Hi, this is Harish Ravi. I'm an interdisciplinary prof at Extreme Adventuring. So today I'll present to you the simple brain model. So a neural network consists of several nodes interconnected. So the constants change upon medication. So as of 2020, I'm happy to say that any problem can be solved by psychology and sociology, and exposure to Rubik's Cube, big Rubik's Cubes and all those things. So the speed threshold to the power minus 12, IQ goes as speed into threshold to the power minus 12. So speed reduces and threshold increases with medicine. So this is the IQ curve. So the IQ curve goes down initially and then it goes back up like this upon tapering. This is IQ versus concentration. So it's a I call it the IQ crisscross curve. So one is possible to come out in a better shape too. One can directly bypass medication and do well also. So follow my work, read my books, and if you have any patients, you can refer them to me. I can help them. Thank you. Hi, this is Harish Ravi from Extreme Adventuring. I'm now an interdisciplinary professor. So here this is about psychology and psychiatry and medicine. So this is the IQ, Harish's IQ crisscross curve. And this is the Harish's N is equal to D T half by 16.63. This is the Harish's blood half-life level formula. And both are in my book and journal and papers and all those things. So basically this is the curve. So initially the IQ reduces as S t power minus 12 due to this neural network model. I call it the simple brain model, and it falls down and then it goes up again. First it dips down while tapering gradually, and then it goes back up upon doing a lot of intense psychiatric exercises and sociological exercises, exposure exercises. If you have a patient, you can ask them to contact me. You can directly bypass medicine also. Then there's the jerk tapering. So as of 2020, we can cure psychological and psychiatric diseases perfectly. I'm in the process of publishing the papers. So the second tapering is jerk tapering. So you suddenly stop the medicine. Here the IQ falls even more. There is more risk here. But with extensive exercises and safety precautions, you can increase the IQ by doing the NLP and such processes. Solving big Rubik's cubes, playing chess, solving big Rubik's cubes, and doing sociology and all those things. So these are the two formula and curve for the presentation. Please share with some people. Thank you. Hi, this is Harish Ravi. I'm now an interdisciplinary prof at Extreme Adventuring, and search me with these two keywords. So this is Harish's IQ crisscross curve and jerk curve, and this is the blood half-life formula. D T half by 16.63. D is the dosage of medicine in mg, and T half is the half-life. So this is based on the blood volume and all those things. It's valid even for corona medicine, diabetes medicine, or any medicine. I'm in the process of publishing it, but you can read my books, my websites, YouTube videos, and several other things. This is the IQ crisscross curve. So basically the IQ falls as S t power minus 12 from a simple brain model of the neural network, and it goes down with medical concentration. And suppose you think that it can be cured. It can be cured. Psychological diseases can be cured as of 2020 with the most modern technologies like NLP, solving huge Rubik's cubes, doing sociology, doing psychotherapy, multiple mechanisms. I might have forgotten some, so please read my book. And anyway, so this is the tapering curve. So while it first goes down, the IQ falls down, you do silly things, and then it goes back up. I'm doing the extensive therapy and exercises, which I could guide myself. I'm yet to get patients. So if you have any patients, please do refer them to me. Please share this video. They might know somebody who is a patient. And then I do it for a charge. And this is the jerk curve. So you can also choose to suddenly stop the medicine, but the IQ falls down even more in the same tangent of the tapering curve, and it is much more riskier, but it can also be handled well. Sometimes it's more comfortable, and the IQ can be increased by extensive exercises, therapy, social exposure, and all those things. So these are my discoveries. Please do share them with people, and yeah, please give me some feedback and stuff like that. Thank you. Hi, this is Harish Ravi. I'm an interdisciplinary professor at Extreme Adventuring. So I'll be introducing the stock market. So this is the stock market curve. A company shares is divided into stocks, and basically you buy when the price is low, and after 2-3 weeks you sell when the price is high. It's all digital. There is a lot of demat trading. For example, if you buy a real product, it costs some cost price, and then you sell it at MRP. You make that much profit, but sometimes you have to give discounts and you might make a loss. And so in stock market, if you buy when it's high price and sell when it's low price, it's a loss. So you have to use strategies, and you have to use indicators like MACD, then average, SMA, and all those things. And you have to make profit. You need to use multiple screens, do a lot of number crunching and analysis. Thank you. Hi, this is interdisciplinary Professor Harish Ravi from Extreme Adventuring. Here's a new idea. One is electromagnetic immunity, where we detect the resonance frequency of the virus capsule and irradiate the system with that frequency. For example, if the virus capsule is resonant at 15 gigahertz, we would make it shine with 15 gigahertz, and that would selectively destroy the virus capsule. So the DNA is unique to humans and virus, so we can't do some RF manipulations with that. But if the capsule, if we can find, like water has 10 gigahertz resonance frequency, if we can find something for the capsule and irradiate with, say, an RF wave like this, or an X-ray or something in which the person stands under it of that particular frequency resonantly, then we can kill the virus. So this is one possibility. If this doesn't work, this can be used for any disease like common cold or hepatitis or HIV or anything. Other idea is implantable artificial immunity, where you have a detector with a chemical switch. Basically, we have a receptor, a receptor, and then it completes the circuit when a chemical fits into it. So we can make an artificial, like gas detectors and all that. We can have a detector for some antibody, some structure in the virus, and then when that chemical fits into it, then you can have a laser which generates a lot of heat and kills that virus. This is a very selective immunity, and it's still in the nascent stage. I don't know how easy it is, it's very difficult. But this artificial immunity might be a game changer in medicine. Give me your feedback. Thank you. So here's the rook rail checkmate. So this is the rook, and this is the king and two rooks. So it's here. So checkmate. Cheers. This is interdisciplinary Professor Harish Ravi from Extreme Adventuring. So today I'll be talking about supercomputing. So suppose you wanted to compute n into n plus 1 as a sport, then suppose you wanted to do for 1 to 10 power 20, and you can't sit and do with the calculator. Say you use a normal PC working at 1 gigahertz, then it takes 10 power 20 by 1 gigahertz, that is 10 power 11 seconds, which is maybe thousands of years. If you use a supercomputer with million cores in parallel, in which it does all the computations in parallel, and you take 10 power 11 by 10 power 6, that is 10 power 5 seconds. That's 1 day. So supercomputer speeds up calculations for all the processes, and then we can do many biological and chemical and physics computations in a parallel way. Thank you. Hi, this is interdisciplinary Professor Harish Ravi from Extreme Adventuring. This is a lecture in physics. So an electron has a total energy, it's accelerated by 10.2 million electron volts. The question is, what is the percentage change in mass? So when an object moves, its energy changes. So it's gamma mc square is the energy. So the mass changes when you move. The apparent mass, relativistic mass changes. So in this case, the percentage change, the rest mass of an electron is 0.5 MeV. So basically the percentage change is equal to 10.2 MeV divided by 0.5 into 100. That's around 2000. So this is it changes by 2000 times. So now I have worked with single electrons, EDM, and the spin of the electron depends on relativity. So I have done experiments with relativity in electrons, and it's quite exciting. And this is an example where the electron's mass changes. Thank you. Thank you. Like the video, subscribe, press the bell icon, and share it on social media with your friends. Thanks.